What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, Connor on Chain. So let's get into a few things. Want to talk about the ETFs, potential inflows on ETH. We got that coming up within the next week to 2 weeks from now. We got a few other things that I want to talk about after this video, but I want to take a look at gold, XAU USD. Check it out. And kind of show you guys some similarities that I've seen, and just I guess some stuff that's kind of interesting. Looking at gold, before it was introduced, into the New York Stock Exchange, before there was actual ETFs in for it, and then versus after. And I want to show you guys a bunch of stuff with it. All right, so we got the gold chart here. So again, keep in mind this chart is literally going back all the way to the 1950s, 1970s, 80s. But honestly, I'm going to show you guys in a minute, but this really reminds me of multiple crypto cycles extended out, on a 50, 60, 70 year horizon, right? So again, like I said, this was gold. I mean, I don't even know if you count this. This is literally the 40s, 50s, whatever. But down here, gold started to move, started to run up, had a huge run, right? I guess in the 80s, all the way back down, 80s, 90s. It kind of reminds me of, let's say, for example, an early bull run, right? And then it had to have a cool off for a while. And so as we zoom in, now we're getting into the 90s, into the 2000s. This is when the first ever gold ETF was introduced. I think it was March 25th, maybe, something like that. Or, I don't know, something like that. This first ever gold ETF ever introduced. And then we had the first gold ETF on the New York Stock Exchange ever introduced, which was November 18th, 2004. And again, what this did was allow investors in the stock market, they're able to buy basically spot ETFs of gold, and that kind of just gave them exposure. But again, I don't know 100% if it was I don't think they're buying literal spot gold, but whatever the amount of gold that these ETFs held, that's kind of like what they were buying into, right? But anyways, from that, you guys can just see what happened over the span of the next few years, just within the same 365 days. Because this was what, November into November the next year. Things started to move. They started to get bullish. Right? And it looks like gold is in an uptrend for a while. But what did it do? It just kept going and going. Oh, I wrote that twice. And going. And this went from back down here, it was around $400 something. In the span of the next 5 to 7, 8 years. This pulled a huge move, right? 2 to 3x across the board. Obviously, again, before I guess it had to cool down. But you can kind of just see the similarities, how it kind of reminds me of crypto, like I said, just really extended out to a higher, way higher time frame, As again, it kind of reminds me of a previous bull run, the consolidation, the down only for years. And then, kind of resets. We finally hit previous all-time highs. We break through, nuke down, and then what do? We just keep going and break right through it. And then this is currently where gold is now. So since then, it's just been up for a while, massive correction for a while, and just continuously bouncing in just a very, very long-term uptrend. Obviously, if you zoomed into here, it's a multi-year downtrend, basically. Sideways into an uptrend, But again, just from a very, very high time frame, You know, it's like consistent lower lows or higher lows and higher highs are made, right? You know, it's consistent, boom, and then a break. If you want to consider this even into this, you know, so potentially, I don't know. This is not like a gold price prediction video, but I just found that very interesting that, you know, after a lot of these ETFs were introduced, you know, long term, outside of some sideways action, you know, we just saw gold almost steady rise for a long time, right? And that's, to me, that's, I personally think that's very bullish. You know, just looking at like Bitcoin and ETH, right? You know, if you just project that out over the next 5 to 10 years, even something like that, you know, we could see some huge long-term inflows, and also it's, you know, you're basically betting on the new kind of infrastructure and technology that crypto itself, you know, is providing, right? And so that still has a ton of growth from where it's at right now, you know. But I think it's just really interesting to see, because again, if we go to Bitcoin, you know, obviously this is on a way smaller time frame, but kind of it gives me similar vibes, you know, just previous bull runs and then consolidation sideways, another move, you know, kind of interesting here. But I think that the ETFs long term are definitely going to be something that will drive price. Again, like, and I'm not talking about just this bull run, you know, I still think it's going to be very bull run driven in a sense where there are going to be probably gigapumps across the board at some point. Then there is probably still going to be a lot of, you know, down only / sideways for maybe a year, a couple years. You know, just because these ETFs are out, I feel like a lot of people are thinking, oh, this is the last bull run, you know, to ever happen, because, you know, a lot of things are happening. Institutions, everyone's buying in right now, you know. But I personally, I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I think we're still going to see a lot of long-term up only and long-term down only, at least for the next couple of cycles, you know, going into the next 5, 6, 7 years, right? But again, I just wanted to show you guys that because it's really interesting, because it literally was up only basically for 7, 8 years for gold after the ETFs were introduced. Basically just allowing anyone to just buy gold on the market. You know, pretty interesting. You know, and so, like I said, we got ETH as well coming, and I've seen some, let's see, as we got ETH ETF inflows, because I've been trying to see some sort of, you know, potential volume or, you know, dollar value that could be estimated to, you know, flow into ETH, you know, over the next few months, because it's going to be interesting, you know, right away what happens, you know, the day of to the first week. You know, I feel like it's going to be a very underwhelming personally. You know, I feel like it's, even with the Bitcoin ETF, I think it was mostly just hyped up beforehand. Once it happened, you know, it was kind of like, oh, like, okay. But again, it going towards the long term, it's going to be a key outlet, I think, for, you know, everyday average investors / you know, most people that aren't familiar with crypto. Now they're able to buy Bitcoin, you know, on these platforms, on the exchanges they use, you know, that aren't crypto related, right? It just gives a huge outlet for basically where the rest of the money is, bottom line. But this was kind of interesting. I saw this, and again, I take this with a heavy grain of salt, of course, but spot ETH ETFs could capture up to 20% of Bitcoin's ETF flows, which I don't think it's going to get that high, to be honest. But I know there definitely is a lot of, I'm trying to think, 20%. I'd probably have to say maybe 5 to 10. Definitely could. But I was going to say there's a lot of institution looking into Ethereum and just, again, the technology behind it. Um, so yeah, I mean, I assume minimum obviously is going to be millions upon millions. I really don't know how many billions will be flowing into ETH, very short term. But what's interesting though to me is we got ETH at a $428 billion valuation, right? Fully diluted already. I feel like if we're gonna be expecting, even billions to flow in, I really don't know what to expect. Even if a few billion flows into ETH, I don't know how much that's really gonna move price. It definitely will. Like, don't get me wrong, but I personally just don't know 100% how hard this is actually going to affect ETH price in the short term. But I can always be wrong about everything, right? Anything and everything. But ETH does look good. I have to say the chart looks very solid for where it's at. It's holding up insanely well. And I've been getting a feeling that this bull run is going to be playing out more so a time frame similar to previous cycles, than a shorter bull run. Because I feel like I've been predicting a shorter bull run for a long time now. But it to me, it just seems like we're going to be trending for a while. We're going to be sideways now for a long time, right? So yeah, I think if we see some heavy inflows, and ETH price really can start moving, then it's going to be interesting to see, again, obviously what happens to the underlying coins, basically all of utility, all of gaming, RWA. Basically, most of crypto is probably going to be running again, right? That's what everyone's waiting for. That's what I'm still waiting for and betting on at some point. But, as far as having this ETF be the catalyst for the rest of the bull run, I don't know. That's kind of what I'm saying here. I think everything still at some point is going to get priced in by probably October, November, December, January of this year, and then, January of next year. But it's just going to take time at this point. So yeah, I was going to pull up. Oh no, the other thing I wanted to pull up was, like I was saying, is we have KRC20s coming very soon. I'm going to pull up Twitter as well. KRC20s were supposed to launch at some point in June, but it is already the 22nd, and I've been keeping up to date with the launch. Not too much info on it yet as far as any sort of time and day, right? But KRCs are still a very interesting opportunity, because I think to see any sort of tokens, any sort of tokens on top of Caspa, I think they're going to run very hard. Short term, not so much. But I think once Bitcoin and ETH eventually do make those highs, Caspa itself will probably have its own mini bull run. Like we saw earlier this year, I think, maybe even in October, November 2023. We saw Caspa start to pop off. And then what else did we see? Is we saw other block DAG altcoins, start to pop up left and right. They started to get a ton of traction. And I think that it's going to be the same thing. But this time it's going to be probably a lot of meme coins on Caspa. And also, other block DAGs are going to probably launch out of nowhere, try to promise all this utility. But they're all going to be scams. So it's going to be interesting. Because I almost look at it just like BRC20s. If you guys haven't seen my other KRC20 video, I go into a lot of info on it. I'm going to link it above here. But, that's kind of interesting as to what's going to happen with KRC20s. So we got Nacho the Cat. I'm personally very bullish on Nacho the Cat. Goad, I don't know what it is. Goad could be something, but Nacho the Cat, Casper the Ghost, and maybe Goad as like a third play. I'd say Casper the Ghost and Nacho easily look like my favorites. The community just seems really strong for them. But again, there's a ton of them, right? You know, if you guys want to look at some info, you can always type in KRC20, hashtag KRC20 on Twitter. You can find a lot of different info like that. You can do certain stuff like that as well. Like I said, I'll link that video above. Definitely going to be an opportunity. You know, and like I've said before, with, you know, we had Runes launch. Runes launched initially, had a ton of hype at launch. But what happened was 99% of coins ended up just dumping. They dumped and dumped and dumped for weeks on end, upwards of like a month and a half to 2 months, right? And I feel like a lot of runes just had a nice pump over the last few weeks now. You know, maybe what? As it's June 22nd, like about 2 months in, a month and a half in, is when, you know, they launched, came down, flatlined for a bit, had a good pump. But again, a lot of coins, they haven't even broken to all-time highs. Only a few did. But I think that was the beginning of runes. You know, I'm still heavily bullish on runes. You know, I think meme coins on Bitcoin will have their run at some point, just like BRC20s did in, you know, November and December of 2023. Because that was huge for the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. Same thing here. I think KRC20s, more than likely, they're probably going to launch with a decent amount of hype. I mean, it also depends on the market sentiment, right? Because let's say in 2 weeks, Bitcoin is breaking through this range, mooning like crazy, and then KRC20 just launched or something, and Casper starts to move as well. You know, basically the whole market starts to move up. You know, that's going to trigger a lot of people to then start degenning, looking for those undervalued plays, because they know for a fact they're going to start moving. But I think if we remain sideways for another month, another 2 months, 3 months, which is possible, you know, I think KRC20s will launch. They'll probably get some hype initially, but I think the same thing, they're probably going to dump and go sideways right off the bat for a while. And the best thing to do is just going to be scour Twitter like crazy. Look for top communities. Look for like certain coins that are consistently active, you know, always rating different posts. Have a lot of people, you know, that really like it, and just have a ton of attention. And make sure, you know, at that point, most coins that launch, their charts are probably going to be down bad. You're going to be looking at them like, dude, why would I buy this? This chart looks horrible. But that's going to be when you buy. Is when you see these people rating, these communities active as fuck, you know, that's when you want to be looking into it to actually jump in and buy the bottom. Buy that blood, because that is going to be where the opportunity is. Because once the attention actually comes back to like Casper meme coins after it's launched, you know, that's when the real run will start. And that's when you're going to see, probably in 6 to 8 months from now, maybe even more, you know, you're going to see people all over YouTube, Twitter, you know, trying to find, oh, what's the next best meme coin that's launching? You know, and you've been holding it for 6 months. You know, you've already made a 40x, 50x, 200x on it, right? Especially if you mint some. Yeah, if you mint some, oh my god. That'll be nuts. So, definitely a huge opportunity. I firmly believe that as well. So, stay up to date with KRCs. And obviously, I'm going to update you guys on when it's launched, you know, and doing all this stuff. So, super interesting, like I said. But again, short term though, be wary. If you can't mint certain tokens, try not to just ape into stuff. You know, and especially right off the bat, there probably will not be any charts for KRC20 tokens, so it's going to be very, very speculative and potentially dangerous to be, you know, aping if there is a third-party platform, you know. So be very cautious right off the bat. It's brand new infrastructure, so it's going to be higher risk than, gambling on new coins that just launched on Solana. So keep that in mind if you're looking into these. But I think finding a strong community is going to be the key to KRC20s, without a doubt in my mind. So the last thing I wanted to bring up here was political meme coins. There are so many of them, right? So many random tiny ones as well. I'll give you guys some of a couple of my favorite ones that I really like. I'm trying to see. Honestly, I think anything Trump related it still has a lot of juice. I think they will run like crazy. I think even this MAGA Trump coin, like the biggest one on ETH, more than likely will have a huge run, even sitting at 400 million in market cap. Probably will go to, my guess would be a couple billion. But again, I'm not talking about in a week or 2 weeks. It might take 3 to 4 months. It might take upwards of 2 weeks before the election, right? Or maybe even a few days before the election for it to hit these levels, because everyone's FOMOing and FOMOing and FOMOing, and they're like, oh my god, Trump's gonna win. All the votes are coming in, all these different states. Trump's got the upper hand. Let's say, for example, on most states, this coin is gonna be flying because of that. So that's gonna be one to look for and watching. But again, keep in mind with these coins, I will not preach this enough. Do not hold any political tokens after the election. You should have a goal set to sell literally like a day, 2 or 3 days before the election, no matter what. I guarantee it will save you all a ton of profit. And I don't think, again, I can always be wrong, but I do not think if one president or the other wins, it will not pump that president's token. It is going to dump everyone's tokens across the board, because there's no catalyst, there's no reason for other people to want to buy into the token. People are not going to buy it because Trump is now president, because Biden's now president. They're buying it, they're all buying it beforehand. So keep that in mind. It's how the market works, and they're gonna want to trick you into buying. They're gonna buying everyone all their bags at the top, thinking that oh, if he wins, this coin's gonna pump. I'm telling you, it's not. You will lose your shirt buying and aping into these coins if you buy. Even if you buy close to when the election ends, and then you hold it, hoping whatever president you pick ends up winning, and then your bag pumps. It will not do that. I guarantee it won't. Your best bet is to be buying now, still while there's months ahead, while hype is not 100% on political meme coins right now. Because I think these are going to have their own mini bull run in and of themselves, strictly because of the election, right? So, again, I think MAGA Trump, even MAGA hat, just like another Trump beta, could do well. I don't really like Joe Biden token, because I think there's a funny meme coin called Joeing that is, if you're looking to get a Biden token, I think Joeing is going to be the token of choice for me. It's very low in market cap right now. I think it is on CoinGecko. But I'm not going to lie, I genuinely just think this meme is really funny. Looking at it, you guys might think it's stupid, but the community is very cult-like on Twitter, on social media, and the chart has been down for a while. But usually, again, I have heavy conviction in this token. I made a video on it about maybe a month, I think early May, beginning of May or something like that, maybe late April. Mentioned it a little bit, but currently I think it's at 2 million in market cap. So it's definitely been down hard because it was on a correction. Plus, market conditions right now are literal dog shit, as you guys have seen. But at the end of the day, again, I think the election is going to be a huge narrative, huge catalyst for these meme coins to fly like crazy. And I genuinely think that meme coin is actually funny on Twitter. So that Joeing is definitely my meme coin, micro cap / low cap meme coin of choice for the political narrative, because it's almost like an anti-Biden / pro-Biden meme coin. It kind of works both ways, you know. And if you guys, you know, dive into it on Twitter, check it out a little bit, you'll eventually understand it. I think it's really funny. You know, Tucker Carlson, I think it's got some potential there. I think they have a whole YouTube channel, which is pretty cool. You know, another Trump, you know, Dolan. You could buy Dolan here. Probably still will run. I think you could buy anything with the name Trump, and it's probably going to do a 2 to 5x. You know, and again, I'm not trying to be politically biased in any way here, but I think anything that is related to Trump is going to pump like crazy in comparison to Biden. You know, I know for a fact anything Trump is going to pump like nuts. Another one I do like is, I think it's Trumpy right here. I think market, oh, it's at 300K, so this one's tiny. I'm not even invested in this one. I am invested in Joeing, and I've been holding it for a while. But Trumpy I'm not invested in. But I think this one's kind of funny too. It's, you know, it's just a little Trump character basically. Kind of random, but, you know, I think anything related to just either side, guys, is going to pump. I think it's going to be a massive, massive narrative. So outside of that, you know, that's kind of what I wanted to bring up today and talk about. You know, I just think political fi, and again, you can't go wrong with just even some of the top coins. But yeah, technically, if you like Bowden, you know, like, why not swing it in there? Hit up Joe Bowden, MAGA hat, any of these. It's like, you know, I'm not going to tell you to buy, you know, any of these random ones. MAGA coin BSC is like, there's too many of them. I think if you're going to get into them, other than, you know, Joeing, that I actually think is funny, you know, I think you can't go wrong with these two, because they're basically just Trump. I guess some of the main Trump meme coins, basically. But again, I'm not trying to come at this in any sort of way politically. I just know for a fact that anything related to Trump is probably going to pump a lot harder than anything related to Joe Biden. You know, so outside of that, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Bunch of different stuff, so probably will end up making another video consolidating some of the stuff that I brought up again in this video. But if you guys watched all the way through, I appreciate you watching, and stay bullish. You know, it's been insane holding through these last few months, you know, on a lot of bags. But, you know, I firmly believe, you know, I've really just been thinking about this market, you know. If we're going to see moves like we did in the last bull run, then by all means, we are not even there yet. We still have a long way to go with the rest of this bull run. So that is what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm watching for. And I think within the next 6 to 12 months, I know for a fact, we will be seeing narratives in every form eventually start to run very hard. And I just think that, I don't know, I could be completely delusional, but I actually think political fi meme coins may have one of the best yielding returns in the crypto market this bull run. I don't know why I've been thinking that, but I genuinely believe that. You know, I think even a coin at 400 million, this could be easily valued as one of the top 5 meme coins until the election ends. Same with, like, this one could easily probably go to $1 billion, maybe a couple billion. But again, I'm not, like, don't take it as a buy signal. I haven't shown the chart, haven't looked at this chart. I don't know if it's topped out or bottomed right now. You know, and then the rest of these will probably move. They're going to be very short-lived. So this is what I recommend. Like I said, buy some of the top ones in the space. Like this one specifically has literally been up only since 2023. Just Bouncing, 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 up, bounce, bounce, up. Those are the charts you want to look for. MAGA Hat's a newer coin, but again, this one probably still will do pretty well. And then this one being, you know, almost 3, maybe 4 times cheaper than this one, could yield similar gains, similar moves. I think both of these, but this one might have a little bit more gains in the tank. You know, just to get to a billion would be a 10x. A billion would be about a 2.5x, a little under that. You know what I mean? So just keep that stuff in mind. These two, I think, are going to be your best bet. And Joeing, like I said, is very, very high risk one, but I think it's genuinely funny. I think that'll catch on the rest of the bull run for these meme coins. So that's what I got for you guys today. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.